Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Today is the 3rd of April, year of our Lord 2025. Welcome to yet another edition of the Going Hour, hosted by Nicholas Hinkle, aka Motanoa. Taping this one bright and early on a Thursday, 7 o'clock in the morning. Sun was awake at 4:30. Was the report that came across my desk, and then he just didn't want to go back to sleep for a long time, and then he went back to sleep, and then Maddie was like, I'm going back to sleep too, and then I was like, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs. I was like, maybe I'll try and tape the show. Maybe that's what I'll try and do. You know what I want to do to start today's show? Talk about something I forgot to mention on Monday. I get really upset when I forget to mention things like completely, because the media cycle just kind of washes stuff away, and then all of the takes dry up, and then sometimes by the time I actually remember to talk about it, all the takes have been had. All of you fucking verbal piranhas, you steal all of my takes, and now there's no reason for me to talk about something. The Yankees softly cheating in Major League Baseball this year. This is where I'm going with this, right? And so it's interesting, though, that I didn't end up getting to talk about it on Monday, because Monday, everybody was talking about it. Your favorite sports podcast, your favorite network on television, your favorite radio broadcast, your favorite podcast, whatever it is, did I say podcast twice, was talking about the Yankees and their manipulated bats. Is that what we want to call them here? So let's walk through the whole thing, or the whole thing is at least as much as I've read about this. People were really mad about this on Monday. What are the Yankees actually doing, Nick? Maybe you should mention that first. They're cheating. The New York Yankees are fucking cheaters. So if you haven't seen this and you haven't heard about this, they just invented new bats. So that's they kind of invented new bats. So they just, the way that they're packaging this is like, we just moved all of the wood down to the barrel of the bat. And so when you look at the bats that some of the Yankee players are using this season, dog, they're literally like the big red wiffle bats that you used to play with. When, like, if you're doing like a backyard home run derby, usually you're swinging with the little noodle, like, yellow bat, but then you get, like, one with the big red one. You get, like, one swing with the big red bat, because no matter how you hit it, you're going to hit it a mile, right? Doug, that's, like, what the Yankees are doing. And it's not that they're just doing that. They're doing it they got the short porch in right field. This is, like, the most home run hitter-friendly park in baseball, and they're also cheating. And I've really had to sit with this. I've watched all week people be upset about it. And then by the end of the week, what are people saying? I keep hearing the same phrase. Baseball is kind of due for a disruption. That's the phrase. Disruption is the word. Baseball. Is it due for a disruption? I got to tell you, I've heard this over and over and over again this week. And in the face of the Yankees cheating, I can't help but agree. I don't really even know what it means, to be honest with you, but it sounds like I hear that baseball is due for a disruption. That does sound like something that is true. Like there needs to be this new infusion of something, and it's just identifying what that something is. Because if you really want to be adults about this, okay, 20, 30 years ago, we were juicing the players. Within the last 10 years, we were juicing the baseballs. Well, is the next evolution of that whole thing not just juicing the bats? You know what I mean? Is that really where we're going to draw the line? Because it's not like people haven't tried to do that before. They just tried to do it in a way that wasn't legal. What the Yankees are doing is legal. It is within the confines of, like, the rules and what you're allowed to do. This is legal, what they're doing. It's not like when I talk about people juicing the bats in the past, I don't even know. What does that entail? Like corking the bat, right? Like you hollow out a little, like, middle part of the what's the part of the bat? Not the shaft, but like what is this called? The base of the bat, not the base of the bat, but you hollow out the meaty part and then you put a little cork in it. Some people would put like a little piece of aluminum in there or something, and then you just start cranking home runs. What was the George Brett thing? Remember the George Brett pine tar incident? It's like 40 years ago. But it was a thing, I think maybe they were playing the Yankees, and he goes yard, and then the ump is checking his bat, and he's like, too much pine tar. You're out of here, George Brett. George Brett charges out of the dugout. Back when the dugout didn't even have like a railing or anything like that, it was literally just a completely open concept. In New York, too, an open concept in New York. Prime real estate on the field in Yankee Stadium. I don't remember what that one was about. Something about putting pine tar on your bat is the thing. I don't remember what the problem with that is, though. So people have tried to doctor baseball bats before, but how the Yankees are doing it now, and it works, by the way. That's why people are mad about this. because in the first like 3 games that the Yankees played, they scored 20 runs or 100 runs, and they hit like 9 home runs. Didn't Aaron Judge have 3 in one game? Something's going on here. I think they're cheating. And this is something that normally I would sink my teeth into. And I would say the New York Yankees, like the villains in the 4 major sports in America, it's the Yankees. They're caught cheating and they're like bragging about cheating. And I'm like, seems like it would be the story of the century. I'm just not there. I don't know why. I don't care about this. But I think it's because it makes sense to me. I think it's because when you go back to baseball is due for a disruption. I gotta say it again. I don't know what that means. The full scope of what that means, I have no idea. But it sounds right. And it's something that has been so interesting to watch people wrestle with, that baseball has kind of been on the upswing here in America. When you talk about not just the product that's actually being put on the field, but like the people who are watching it. Because someone can correct me on this. I believe that the average like viewership, not viewership, but the average age of a person who watches Major League Baseball like 5 years ago was like 56 years old. I think it's dropped to like 42. That's not nothing. Okay. All right. So you're forming a social presence. That's good. Something that baseball had a problem with for a very long time. They were very late to the social media party because they had so many rights issues. You couldn't distribute their clips literally anywhere, right? Baseball kind of having another like upswing and woo at the same time that the Yankees are going to start cheating and hitting 1 million home runs and on a little league field, essentially. The Yankees at the same time that on the opposite coast, the Dodgers are putting a championship team on layaway for the next 10 years. I don't know. That's interesting. That's fun. Remember when they juiced the baseballs and people were watching because 25 runs were being scored in every single game? There's like a reason to watch because it was actually action, you know? And so you'd start doing all these rule changes and you'd start to figure out like, okay, so how do we make shit happen? Pitch clock has been an enormous success. Gotten a handful of emails over the last like year and a half anytime I bring up the pitch clock and how it's been a quote unquote huge success, because I just think it has. There's always 1 or 2 of you out there who are like the pure, seemingly old head baseball guys who will tell me why it's bad. I just don't think that it is. I think that, and I'm also still a huge fan of the adding the runner on second base thing. That's one that I know that there's actual pushback on. I think that's been great. I don't know. I just know that anytime in the last like 2 years that I've turned on a bit, last year was I think the best year for it. But anytime I turn on a game in the last like 2 years, I'm not kind of compelled to turn it off after 3 innings because the ball's been put in play like 4 times. You know what I mean? It just feels like the World Series was really maybe the way that this was. I think the Yankees lost in 5 is what it was. So that didn't really indicate that it was a good series. It was a good series though. It was fun. You were certainly watching the 2 best teams. It just so happened that the Dodgers were like literally the best team ever. That's like better, and somehow they even got even better than that, right? So it's like the Yankees were definitely the best team, the best equipped team to deal with the Dodgers. They just couldn't. So it's like, okay, if the Yankees are going to do like an anti-Dodgers, whatever we're going to do this season, we have to do it in order to beat the Dodgers. Any moves that we make, like shit like that. So it kind of makes me think about like the Houston Rockets. Remember how Daryl Morey built the Houston Rockets not to go 82-0. He built them to beat the Warriors in the playoffs, and that was it, right? That was the entire ethos of the Houston Rockets in the middle of the 2010s, was like, whatever we do, it is in the name of beating Golden State. To me, that's what the Yankees are doing, where it's like anything that we're doing, any advantage that we're going to find, we're doing it to beat the Dodgers. What's the only way that you're going to do that? If you can manage to hit the ball on any of their starting pitchers, even if one goes down, they'll just trade for Jack Flaherty again at the deadline, and then they'll be fine going into October. So the Yankees are like, what if we made these Looney Tunes, Fred Flintstone-ass bats, which are legal? We're not actually cheating. They're not. What if we did that? Can Yamamoto, I don't know, bend a slurve around 18 inches of wood? The fuck? These bats look insane, but they work. but they do work, folks. The Yankees are cheaters, and I kind of don't care. I'm kind of rooting for it, actually. Kind of like it. copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description. Wherever it is that you listen to this program. A little bit of a whoopsie here by me. I didn't even have the email pulled up, so I'm kind of having to do and I'm having to scramble and find the right email that I wanted to do. Here it is. Sorry about that, folks. So in the last episode, we did an email from Cooper, and he was talking about how the Wizards deserve Cooper Flagg. It was a good email. Very well nuanced email. And we got a lot of Wizards fans in the email since that episode because I was just mean. I just didn't say that many nice things about the Wizards. And I do think that it would be fair to give you Wizards fans the chance to sort of defend yourselves from the vitriol that I spit. And I don't think there would be a better candidate suited for that than Bathroom Tom, a.k.a. Wizards fan Tom. Some of you may know him by his preferred nomenclature, Hot Tom. Tom is very famously a Wizards fan on this program. He kind of had a whole spiel about Cooper Flagg, and so I wanted to give Tom the floor. I don't think I'm going to have that much to say to it. I just figured Tom being sort of the voice of Wizards fans, we did a Wizards segment. He's got some thoughts on it, so why don't we talk about it? Tom, welcome back to the show, brother. Subject line, capture the flag, a.k.a. the right which will change my life. Oh, you said the night which will change my life. Well, I guess the right also worked. The right to draft Cooper Flagg will change my life. I was wrong. I'm just trying to make it seem not as stupid that I was wrong. Let's do your email, Tom. Hey, Nick. We all know where I am, right? Anyways, I was listening to today's episode while working, and I need to get my shit off. Literally. The guy's literally on the toilet. I have heard the rhetoric, oh, Cooper Flagg should spend an extra year in college to avoid the Wizards. First, you're dumb, we're bad, and we can do this thing for the next 4 to 5 years if that's what it will take. Second, this Wizards team is a mess, personnel-wise, because they are filled with a bunch of literal kids who can't legally drink, and then guys like Anthony Gill and Chris Middleton who shouldn't be driving without corrective lenses at this point. Is that a comment about Chris Middleton's eyes, or is it just because he's old? Are you saying his eyes don't work because he's old, or are you saying his eyes don't work because they look like that? Back to the email. This is a combination of some of the worst and most interesting basketball teams I could have imagined. As a side note, if you look at any roster, we do not have a dedicated center on our roster. So this team is somewhat an anomaly in that sense. Trust tree? Breaking the email, Tom? Can we do a trust tree? What the fuck is Alex Sarr? He's like 7 feet tall. He's not a center? He doesn't count? As a side note, if you look at any roster, we do not have a dedicated center on our roster. The Wizards have Alex Sarr, right? This is going to be bad podcasting. Alex Sarr position. This is crazy. He's 7 feet tall. He plays the power forward and the center positions. We're going to go to Basketball Reference and we're going to do something that we've never fucking done on this show before. I'm going to Basketball Reference and in real time, I am trying to figure out his percentages at the positions that he's played this year. Alex Sarr has played 96% of his minutes playing center. Tom, I'm looking at it on Basketball Reference right now. 4% of his season has been played, of his 1,651 minutes. 4% of them have been played at the 4. Alex Sarr has played the 5, so the math on that would be 96% of the time. Tom, I didn't want to have to get into a semantics battle with a fucking lawyer, okay? But you said it, and unless I misinterpret it, let's read it one last time to make sure I did not misinterpret this. As a side note, if you look at any roster, we do not, you put do not in all caps, have a dedicated center on our roster. I guess if he was playing 4% less at power forward, maybe we would have a dedicated center on the Wizards. It's a lawyer, no, I'm just kidding. Sorry, Tom, I don't know why. It's early in the morning. I'm cranky. I didn't sleep that much. I'm sorry, Tom. Let's get back to your email. In terms of drafting, we seem to find the role player sweet spot every single pick. Save Alex Sarr, and our rookies this year have been getting some of the most experience that I can imagine for a full draft class. I would agree with that. That's true. This goes back to the point about rewarding bad teams with the number 1 overall pick. The number 1 overall pick isn't really a reward, save for the Wemby, LeBron, Shaq drafts where you are getting a floor-level all-star with that pick. But looking back at the NBA classes of the past, however many years, I would argue that tanking for the number one overall pick is essentially ineffective due to the nature of the modern draft lottery and our ability to predict top talent. I would even add or our inability, Tom, or our inability to do that is kind of why you're like, I don't know. I remember Killian Hayes being number one on a certain pundit's draft board, and I like that pundit a lot. I think he's a very nice guy, but it's something that I will never forget. Back to the email. In the last 10 drafts, the top picks have been Karl Anthony Towns, Ben Simmons, Markelle Fultz, DeAndre Ayton, Zion, Anthony Edwards, Cade, Paulo Banchero, Wembanyama, and Risa Shea. Of all of those guys, there are maybe 3 who will actually have the ability to turn a team completely around from worst to playoff contention. Of those past 10 drafts, 5 out of the 10 teams with the worst records in their respective years actually received the number one overall pick. Very famously on this show, we had to have the discussion about the Pistons missing out on the number one pick last year because of the nature of the draft lottery. Yes, I don't really remember what we would have said. I'm not going to go back and look because it's just going to piss me off again. I cannot believe that we got 5th again last year. That was insane. I remember that moment very vividly. I think there's actually a video out there about it. I was like, Mark, don't do this, Mark. And then Mark Tatum was like 5th. Insane. Back to the email. The entire point of this being that this team doesn't deserve anything. It needs something. It needs a life which it hasn't had since 2016. It needs a young core with a clear leader and direction, and it needs to burn the swamp jerseys ASAP. Finally, as an aside, the Wizards logo has been notoriously terrible since we moved away from the actual Wizards in the late 2000s/early 2010s. Our jerseys have been mid as of late, but there is something about the classic blues and the gold jerseys which will hold a special place in my heart. In summation, we don't deserve anything, but goddamn it, we do need something. Sincerely, Tom. So this is just kind of a moment for me where I have to decide as the host of this show if back-to-back shows in a row we get emails that I think do a really thorough job of being like, why not us? Like the Wizards pitch on why we deserve Cooper Flagg and why Cooper Flagg would be is working on me. I'm not saying this because in the last episode I said a bunch of mean stuff, and so now I feel like I have to like sort of make up for it because now Tom chimed in and is a soft spot in my heart for this fucking guy, and so now I feel like I have to be. This has nothing to do with that at all. I just think that between Cooper and Tom, I think that they both were kind of like, no, it's like the idea of making the Wizards sexy again, or just at all, really, period, is kind of interesting to me because I'm the one who will sit here and be like, well, they just have no history and they have no culture and they're boring and I think they're ugly and all of this shit. Well, let's say all of that is true. Do I just want that to be the case for them forever? Technically, yes, to be honest with you. I don't like when things aren't the way that they were when I was like 10. But at the same time, I also have to be fair and say that it would be nice if there was somebody who actually came along and changed that. I think he's going to do that. I think Cooper Flagg is going to do that. Jacob, a.k.a. Rusty Buckets, he's always like, oh, Andre Kirilenko. That's who I see in Cooper Flagg, AK-47. He fucking asked me. We were talking about Cooper Flagg. This was like a month ago or something. He fucking was like, we were talking about Cooper Flagg, and he's like, so do you know Andre Kirilenko? And I was like, what? He's like, I don't know. You have like weird blind spots. I was like, what the fuck? Do you think I don't know AK-47? I was like, if it happened before I was born, then yes, it's a blind spot for me because I don't care that much about the history, right? Andre Kirilenko, do I know who he is? Jacob thinks that he plays like Andre Kirilenko. I'm going to just take it a step further. I think that he is Kawhi. I think he is Kawhi Leonard. I really believe that Cooper Flagg has this ability to like just be a top 15 guy in the world. Once he, I don't know, it happened pretty quick for Wembanyama. Who knows how fast it can happen for Cooper Flagg? Because he just like does everything really well. I just don't know how it's not going to translate. For all intents and purposes, he performed really well at the Team USA camp before they went to the Olympics and kicked everybody's asses and won the fucking gold, USA. So I think that he could very easily be a top 15 guy in the world. And then a few times in his career, in the middle of April to like the middle of June, we will be having a serious conversation of like, is this guy the best fucking player in the world? The way that we did with Kawhi on his playoffs, his Raptors playoff run. I really remember in 2000 and what was it, 14 with the Spurs, his first one. I don't really remember there being a point where people were like, "Oh my God, best player in the world?" Question mark. Do we have to talk about it? No, because he was like his second year in the league. He had not been in the NBA for long enough, and it just was not the same. It just was not the same thing at all. So people didn't say that about him, but they were. They did credit him a lot. People did talk about Kawhi as like a holy shit, this guy, because he spent the entire series defending LeBron, and even then, this wasn't just something that came up after the fact. Even at the time, that clip of LeBron like seeing, is that happened, right? Of like seeing Kawhi check into the game while he's shooting a free throw, and he like looks like, damn. I remember that being a thing. I will never forget when LeBron, not to get too far off the email, but just one little thing on LeBron. Do you guys remember when he won his first ring and that feeling of like, damn, we can't make jokes about this anymore? Like it's over. The LeBron doesn't have a ring joke. It feels like, can you imagine if like NBA Circle Jerk as it exists today had ammo of like LeBron does not have a champion? Dude, that would be crazy because the shit that people were posting on Facebook in like 2009 was crazy. So between the stuff that you just heard and what you're hearing now, hours have passed between the abrupt ending of that previous segment. In the middle of me dissecting an email sent in by a Wizards fan, Tom, I heard my child wake up. And I was like, I have to go take care of this. This is more important, unfortunately, than the show. I have to go take care of my child. And so I did that. Hours have gone by. Can I tell you something? I'm a little bit riled up, a little bit charged up since the last time I talked to you guys a couple of hours ago. We were just putting our son down for a nap, and we just had First Take passively on in the background. And it was Stephen A. Smith, Kendrick Perkins, and one of the Morris twins. I'm assuming it was Marcus Morris and Molly. And they had up on the banner, they were doing a segment, is Nikola Jokic a top 20 player of all time? Is what they were talking about on First Take on a Thursday morning. Is Nikola Jokic a top 20 player of all time? I don't know if I almost need a ruling here. Like, I don't know if I should be as annoyed as I am. It just doesn't feel like that question is being asked very earnestly. Really? I didn't realize that was a dispute. I'm like, that's where I'm coming from. Maybe I haven't made my position on this clear yet. I don't think that that's even a question. And I think that for a show like First Take, that is very important in terms of structuring narratives in the NBA and like the way that people consume. I don't know that we shouldn't have already maybe had this conversation a long time ago. I don't know if maybe they were doing like an easy segment, like a softball segment for Marcus Morris. Get his feet wet on TV and just give him something easy to talk about. It's like, obviously, he's a top 20 player of all time, and that's why we're asking one of the Morris twins that. If that's the case, then, like, sure, okay. You were giving him a little softball. That's totally fine, but if we're actually having it, what else do they talk about? Melo's in the Hall of Fame? Nice. I just didn't think that was I did not find that to be earnest programming in the slightest. And some of you out there are going to spare me the whole, wow, ESPN hasn't been good for you. I get it. Nobody fucking likes ESPN anymore. I get it. Everybody tells me that all the time that nobody likes ESPN anymore. But as somebody who I think I just said this at the end of the last little clip, as somebody who doesn't like when things are different than the way that they were when I was 10 years old, I don't like that people don't think ESPN is cool. And I don't like that the worldwide leader in sports is just kind of like the worldwide leader and like, what's up? Like every day. Is Nikola Jokic a top 20 player? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. And I think the real conversation that maybe First Take would spend, how you think, maybe you think they could milk 2 weeks out of this? How many active players in the NBA are top 20 all time? More than maybe they would like to admit if they're going to ask the Jokic question. LeBron, there's 1. Steph, there's 2. KD, yeah, there's 3. Top 20 all time. You going to give it to Chris Paul? Most of you out there probably aren't going to give it to Chris Paul, so let's not give it to Chris Paul. Top 20 all time? No, it can't be Chris Paul. It just can't be. Giannis, you want to have the Giannis conversation? My vote would be yeah. Top 20 all time. Do I think that there are 19 players all time that were better than Giannis Antetokounmpo? I'm not too sure that that's true. I don't know. He'd be one of the fringe guys. Some of you might be like, top 25, not 20. Okay, sure. Let's fucking argue semantics. Let's argue on the margins. We'll put an asterisk next to Giannis because, like, maybe. And I would love to say Victor Wembanyama, honestly. But we can't do that yet. Even if it's probably going to be true, can't say it yet. I don't know. I don't want to keep doing this because I'm going to forget people and it's going to be a whole thing. I'm going to feel bad and I'm going to look stupid. But I think they're probably Jokic, put him in there. You want to put Kawhi in there? Kawhi Leonard, top 20 all time? I don't think you can. I don't think you can do it. He'd be another one of those guys that you'd be like top 30 maybe, top 26. Kawhi Leonard, a top 26, maybe a top 28 guy all time in the NBA. I don't know if we can. I don't know if we can cut it at 20 though. I'm not sure we'd be able to get away with that. We also got an email. This is separately. While I was like getting back into the headspace of doing the show, we got an email, copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description wherever it is that you listen to this program. Some of you may remember about a month ago we did a bit on this show. It was like the Helen Keller Trap House. And this bit essentially was like, what if Helen Keller was on Facebook Live in a trap house, like doing a money spread, and then a SWAT team shows up and they flashbang her, but she couldn't see and she couldn't hear, so she would not be affected by a flashbang at all. And the SWAT team ends up thinking that she's a goddamn X-Men, and that's a whole thing. That was essentially the essence of the bit. One thing that I would like to add to that bit in retrospect is she's doing the money spread on Facebook Live, but she's blind, so she's facing the wrong way. So she's just 180 degrees looking the complete opposite direction. Well, the reason that I'm doing that I'm building all that up is because we got an email 7 minutes ago from Ricky. Ricky, welcome back to the show, I believe. Subject line, have you seen this and have you heard about this? Because Helen Keller has certainly not done either. And you sent me a picture of a quarter, normal American United States quarter that you would see in circulation. And it's an Alabama State quarter, and it has Helen Keller on it. And you said her money spread is in quarters. I can see it clearly. That'd be pretty funny. But it's also like, I was going to say, because then it's easier to hear if it drops. I forgot she couldn't hear. I just appreciated that a month after the fact that we did that whole thing, somebody's like, I have a little bit that I want to add to the joke. I got a lot of emails, actually, about that joke. People were upset about it. An equal amount of you were like, Hall of Fame coping hour bit, that were also like, that was not cool. Helen Keller was actually metal as fuck, and she was more than just a woman who couldn't see and couldn't hear. She probably was. This crusade that I have inadvertently started against Helen Keller, it's inadvertent. I did not mean to do this. It's just an easy thing to joke about. This extraordinary woman who couldn't see and couldn't hear doing a money spread would be funny to me. Let's do some other emails, folks. copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. Let's do this one from Jared. Jared, welcome back to the show. We don't read a ton of emails from Jared, but he emails the show a lot, and I respond to a couple of them sometimes. He is a regular in the inbox. I don't know how many of them have actually made it to the show. But Jared hadn't emailed me for a while, and I actually was aware of that. When people go dark for a while, like, I'm kind of like, oh, I wonder what's up with them. Like, there was like a month where Bathroom Tom didn't email the show, and I was like, I wonder if he's okay. Jared, welcome back to the show, brother. Subject line, miss you, boo. I know I'm way late on the subject, but I feel like it needs to be pointed out, because it shows just how much so many of the people who voted for Trump really did it based on principle and are not blindly following orders. I was really worried about the signal thing. I felt like I was hearing a lot of people who were blowing off the signal thing on the right, when we really just need to admit we screwed up and not say, you guys didn't care when you screwed up, so why should we? I think that there are different levels to it, and that our side did it accidentally. That maybe the punitive response doesn't need to be as severe as it should have been with the Afghanistan pullout, but we should be better than the whataboutism that is going on here. So I was really happy to find out that on Ben Shapiro's video explaining why the signal thing is not a big deal to the American people, the comments are full of his own conservative fans ripping him apart, saying that we should be better than this and that he is wrong and that this was a big screw up. I really don't think that you would ever see that if roles were reversed and the left is the side that did the exact same thing. So that was kind of the part of the email that I was like, oh, okay, wait, I don't. So I thought it was interesting to get. So if you couldn't pick that up from the email, Jared is the one of the more conservative emailers that we have on the show. You actually did say in your absence at the end of the email, you said, hopefully you've had some other crazy manic folks still sending you right-wing emails while I've been MIA. I haven't, Jared. It's been pretty clean. To be honest with you. He's like sorry, I bumped the mic. I apologize if that picked up. The most like right-wing thing that anybody will ever email me about, if it's not Jared emailing me something, is it has something to do with, which I don't know if you would really call that right-wing, I guess, with the way that like social politics work. That is sort of more of like, you don't really see the left. I don't know. Let's not do this right now. But that's really all that it is, right? I thought it was nice to have a more like conservative perspective on the whole Signal thing. I just, at the end of it, I just would push back on that. This would never be the case if because the people, at least, how do I say this? Because when conservatives fuck up, it's like this. The Afghanistan withdrawal, yes, Biden was the president when it happened. He was the president when it happened. But it was something about the timeline and the way that Trump strong-armed in order to even get that deal in the first place. I don't remember how it worked out. I blame both of them for it. But yes, Biden was the sitting president at the time. So we got to put it on him. Other than that, I don't know. Like, I'm really trying to think of like Democratic Party scandals in the last 10 to 15 years. The Hunter Biden thing, which I guess I'll give you credit for because to this day, I mean, like Twitter and Facebook and all these major publications and like social media platforms got in trouble for suppressing the Hunter Biden story, which at this point, even what does that even mean? The Hunter Biden story. People talk about the laptop and people the hard drives and the crack. Like Hunter Biden was hitting Crystal and taking pictures of his dick, and that's the only thing that conservatives wanted to talk about. Was like, what about Hunter Biden? Hunter Biden wasn't running for fucking president. He wasn't. And so when I say, like, what even was the story? Because that whole conspiracy or whatever you want to call it, it has morphed into so many different things. It started because Biden was withholding, like, a loan payout to Ukraine because Biden didn't want, like, an attorney general to look into, like, a gas company that Hunter Biden was on the board for or some bullshit. I don't know. I don't know. And Biden was like, no, it's because that guy, you guys are corruption, and I'm not going to keep giving you money for whatever the fuck, because you guys are corrupt. I don't remember what it was. And so, okay, conservatives did end up being right about that. That at least was a real story, I guess. It was not misinformation was the point. That was why it was being suppressed in the first place, was because, like, the fucking FBI and the CIA were, contacting all of these social media platforms and these news outlets being like, we are a target of Russian misinformation right now. This is happening again. So just like keep an eye on that. And then the response to that was, don't run the Hunter Biden story and don't show everybody pictures of his dick, even though we've all seen them 1,000 times by now. That was a thing that happened. And the left's response to that, I don't remember. That's interesting. I'll give you that one. That's true. But otherwise, what? Remember when Anthony Weiner, ironically, of course, haha, his last name, but he got caught sending pictures of his penis, I think, to a woman of the child orientation. That was denounced. Nobody was really like, no, he didn't. No, that was denounced. Other than that, there was a CIA director, I think, in the Obama years, who gave classified documents to a journalist that he was showing pictures of his penis to. So it kind of always just goes back to that, honestly. If Democrats get in trouble for something, they're maybe trying to show their penis to somebody. Happened to Bill Cosby. And then if conservatives get in trouble for something, it's like national security breach or like you're intimidating poll workers or something like that. What's a more serious one for the Democrats? The Benghazi shit, maybe? Does that count? I guess it does. You know what? Actually, because it was Hillary Clinton was the one who ended up like all these like security lapses at these 2 different attacks. And Hillary Clinton was like, so that was me. That was my bad. It's my bad. But we're going to make a kick-ass movie about this in like a couple of years. And you guys will be like, all right, okay. And we'll recondition people to have faith in the American military-industrial complex. We'll do that. So I'll give you that one. People were mad at Hillary for that. The email shit. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, here's my thing. I'm not mad about the signal shit. I don't care. Oh, what if this information got out and the fucking Houthis had time to reposition their defense systems and blah, 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 and now you don't know where their actual location is, and then we lose American troops. That would not be good. Under this administration, I do not want to say and do microphone and put it on the internet that I want American troops. That is not what I want. I do not want that to happen. That would be fucked up and wrong. But I'm just saying I don't care. And that they were using signal. Dude, like, I was watching another one of those hearings the other day, like literally 2 days ago. And they're just sitting up there, and it's been a week. They've had a week to figure out like how they want to tackle this. Like, what's the plan? How are we going to get out of this and like repaint this picture? They're just not. Tulsi Gabbard just is not like cooperating at all. And then the one guy, the fucking not Kash Patel, the other guy, Ratcliffe, is that his last name? He's like, well, signal is permissible. But in this instance, I shouldn't have been on it. And in this instance, it was fine because the information was not classified. And they're like, oh, if it wasn't classified, then you can just show us the screenshots. And he was like, well, no. That's when Tulsi Gabbard is like, well, no, because even though it's not classified, it is under like a selective review process right now. And so we can't actually share that. Oh, okay. Well, you can still tell us what was on there. And she's like, oh, I don't really remember what was on there. And actually, I actually don't think I was in there either. So I don't know. I don't care. I assume they all use Signal or like some other encrypted adjacent messaging app. Again, when we talked about this in the last episode, I still think it's weird that the United States doesn't have their own technology for this. Like something that is government licensed and it's like super closed system and only government workers are able to access it. Like literally Slack, but for the CIA. I'm just surprised that they don't have something like that yet. Or they haven't been able to like purchase that technology from a different company or a different country. But them using Signal doesn't bother me because I just assume that that's already something that they use to communicate. I've always wanted to ask a GM this in the NBA. It's like, how do you guys talk? Is there like an NBA GM Slack channel? Can you imagine that? It's like the trade block is a very physical thing, and they all just like put a player up on like they link their basketball reference on this GM Slack convo. And that's like where the bidding war starts. Could you imagine that one day just Luka Doncic? This bit's not going anywhere. This bit, I started workshopping this one like 4 years ago, and it just fucking went nowhere. And I just tried to bring it out of retirement, and it is not going anywhere again. I just don't think it's a good joke. No, what was another one, though? This actually just came to me, too. Like neocons got really all up in arms and patriotic about the Edward Snowden shit. I remember in real time, I remember that because Obama was painting it like Edward Snowden blowing the whistle on the NSA spying on people. He was like, this is a fucking traitor, and this guy needs to be in jail for the rest of his life. This guy is not a patriot. And then even Tulsi Gabbard, isn't she in recent years been like, Edward Snowden is a hero? And then when she was doing her like confirmation shit, they were like, do you still believe that? And she was like, I don't know. She's very dismissive about it. Okay, she's just annoying. I guess she's technically good at her job, but she's just annoying. Edward Snowden, probably a hero, probably a good guy to let American citizens know, hey, you may have already surmised this, but yes, they are listening to you. They could monitor like 30,000 calls at any given. What's the line in The Big Short? I don't know. Edward Snowden, probably a good guy. Obama did not think he was a good guy. The neocon reaction to that, very, very funny in retrospect. Where else did I want to go with this one? Yeah, that probably covers the bases. copinghourSubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. You know, we did get another one that was sort of in the same vein. Don't want to do it. Let's do this one instead because it'll set up the last segment. Nice. David, welcome to the show, brother. Subject line, Mom loves the Coping Hour. Plus RIP shoot around. Hi, Nick. It's David. Everyone's second favorite Wizards fan, and I wanted to share that I watched an episode of the Coping Hour with my mom, and she loved it. I'm 20, somewhere around your target demographic, I'd imagine, and my mom is 45. I say this to ask if you've ever thought much about what people
your show appeals to the most. I've watched every episode, but I don't recall you speaking on this much other than saying that you do this show for yourself. Yeah, I'll do that part first. Yeah, I think about it all the time. I mean, I'm constantly looking at the demographics, and every time the male/female, pie chart, I get that, or like unspecified / non-binary. This is a gender affirming podcast. Every time that the ladies population ticks up 0.1%, which it has been steadily doing for the last 4 months, I'm like, yes, it's happening. I'm like, the fellas are putting this on in the car, and they are making their significant others listen to it. I did not anticipate, however, that somebody would do that with their mom. And I would be curious to know which episode it would have been, because if it was an episode where I'd spent 7 minutes talking about boobs or like Mariah Mills or something like that, that's probably your mom's gonna be like, who's Mariah Mills? And then you have to confront that, and you need to have that awkward conversation, and you either need to Google it and you need to show her, or your mom's going to Google it and she's just going to pretend that she didn't ask, that kind of a thing. I always try to keep that in mind. Like, there are so many times where I don't say something because as I'm about to say it, I'm like, my grandma listens to every single episode. I need to not do this, right? Sometimes it just comes out, and then after I say it, I'm like, oh no. So that's maybe sometimes when usually I was going to say that's when the bleep comes in. I like to use bleeps because I think they're funny. Like, if you're just talking and then randomly in the middle of me talking and I'm like in the flow of something and you're not expecting it and you just hear me say, and then you're like, whoa, what the fuck? Wait a minute. What did he just say? Shit like that. It can be really funny. I usually only do it though if I do a voice. And then in retrospect, I'm like, I shouldn't do the voice. I shouldn't do that. I remember been referencing bits like this is a fucking clip show. A couple months ago, I was talking about the Ipe Mizuhara thing and how, oh shit, he's actually going to jail. And I said made a comment about the fact that we now know, according to the court case, that Ipe Mizuhara called Shohei Ohtani's bank and was like, what's up? I'm Shohei Ohtani. And wired himself a shit ton of money. And I tried to do an impression of Ipe Mizuhara doing that. And I was like, I can't do that voice. I can't do that voice. At least a dozen emails being like, you need to start a Patreon so that when you have to bleep shit out like that, you can just put the uncensored one up on Patreon. I don't think I'm ever going to do. I don't want to say I'm never going to do that because I don't know. One day maybe I'll be in a super bad hole. That's the takeaway is if you ever see me doing Patreon, motherfucker, I need the money. It is life or death. I need this money. That is when you will see me do a Patreon. And in that instance, maybe. But then but the problem is, honestly, if I know that I have that to fall back on as I can just say it. And then I can just put the uncensored. I'm just going to let it fly too much, I think. If I know that there is an uncensored version and I just know that it's going to, the wiring in my brain is going to be like, just do another voice. Do the voice again. Just do it again. Double down on the voice and refine it in real time. And then I'll have to cut complete portions out of the show. Like the episode that we just did a couple of... This is turned into too self-referential of a segment. This guy's supposed to be about this guy's mom. Yeah, I think about you guys all the time. I pay attention to the demographics. All of it. Let me finish the second part of this email before I use the first part of it to segue into the last part. I also wanted to take a minute and say, may the shoot-around rest in peace. And wanted to commemorate you for what you brought to the show. You added a lot of fun energy. Well, okay, I thought this was going to be more about just the show. But it's nice about the show, but it's also nice about me. Thank you very much for this, David. Yeah, do I think about people who listen to the show? Well, not only do I think about you guys, but I collected data. You guys remember we were doing this 2 weeks ago, and I said, just, give us some time, and we'll let some responses pool up, and then we'll do a segment about it. Yeah, the Coping Hour Census. It's done. It's done. Thank you very much again to Drew for, doing such a thorough job on this and putting together, the entire census, and then, giving us all the responses. So, Drew, thank you very, very much for this. Brother, you did not have to do this. I'm not going to pay him either. Drew, I think that was probably assumed. This was on for the love of the game shit. That's why you did this for the show, is because you just like the show. And thank you very much for that, Drew. And this is us etching your name into the lore and the walls of the Coping Hour. So without further ado, first question we asked was like education level. Where are you guys at? 53.9% of you are post-grad or just like working/living. You're not in school anymore. The rest of you are in college or high school. Little tiny sliver there for elementary/middle school. I imagine that was our boy Lev. Our 11-year-old field reporter Lev. I imagine that was probably him. Top demographic for people who filled out the census is 22 to 26, followed by 17 to 21, and then 27 to 31 after that. Let's see. First language, a lot of English, a lot of Spanish, some ASL. Shout out to the guys who out there who can sign. That's funny. Used to have to take that in like elementary school. I remember in like art class, they were teaching sign language. I was like, bitch, I want to finger paint for real. What the fuck is this? I don't want to talk with my hands. I want to paint. Current or former college major. Here we go. Finance, psychology, marketing, business, political science. Oh, I bet that person fucking hates this show. The poli-sci major. I bet they fucking... All the shit when we talk about Signal and the Afghanistan withdrawal and the Hunter Biden showing his dick on the internet and smoking a bunch of rocks. Education, nursing, education. It's a lot of education and social work. And kinesiology, wow, bachelor's in psychology, law, here's all the lawyers, occupational therapy, technical communications, veterinary medicine, there we go. Nice little I don't know if this is an interesting segment if I just read occupations. I'm honestly reading all these for the first time, and then I'm reading them out loud, and then if I have anything to riff off of, then I will. So I'm going to keep reading jobs for a little bit here. Because I'm just surprised at like how these are all real. I said jobs, I meant majors, but you know, they turn into jobs. It's just interesting because it humanizes you. It kind of goes into the last email about like, do I think about you guys? Of course I think about you guys. What? But I don't know. It just blows my mind. I look at all of these. I'm like, wow, you guys are like actually getting educated. Some journalists in here, biomedical sciences, poli-sci, and government. What sports did you play? Basketball is number one. Basketball is absolutely number one. Baseball, number two. Well, soccer is actually number two. Yeah, football, baseball. The weirdest ones are like two dudes MMA, two dudes playing cricket. Whoa, was watching cricket the other day. Saw a dude get hit in the nuts twice. I was like, nice. Disc golf, judo. Fuck that. What? Karate, rowing, rock climbing, pickleball, taekwondo, what the fuck, sailing. Most used platform, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit. Nobody on True Social, nobody on Tumblr. I know that that's not true, that nobody's on True Social. I know that that's not true. Two of you are fucking lying. Because two of you followed me on True Social. And I know that you listen to the show because there's no other way that you would have found the True Social account. So two of you are liars. Tumblr, yeah, I mean, Tumblr kind of died. What was it, like 2013? They were like, no more porn. They're like, no more nudity, no more, and everybody was like, okay. I remember being in middle school and like I kind of knew what Tumblr was, but I was only just allowed on Facebook like recently at the time, and so I was still kind of new to like the social media part of the internet. And I didn't really know that much about Tumblr, but I remember they were like, yeah, we're not doing porn anymore. And then everybody was like, okay, well, we're not using Tumblr anymore. I don't even know where it would be at this. I'm sure people still use it. I just, what the traffic looks like comparatively to 15 years ago, it's actually probably not that different just because 15 years ago, there weren't that many. Well, there were still a lot of people on the internet 15 years ago. Pinterest, a couple of you guys, Pinterest, make some boards on there, some mood boards. What was the first episode of the Coping Hour you watched? Yeah, a lot of you guys are saying episode 1. You guys are liars. Not all of you listened to episode 1. There's no fucking way. What's crazy to me is I didn't know that this is a thing. This is a way that people consume the show. I learned this within the last month. Some of you, like, straight up go back and, like, listen to all of them in order. Like, once you find the show, and, like, this guy was like, my first episode was 60 when Monty Williams got fired. And I'm not saying this guy did it, but like if you started there, like some people they just go back to the beginning. Whoa. And I guess you can because it's a topical show, but the point of it is to exist as a digital time capsule. So it's like, I guess that means you're allowed to do that, and you don't have to listen to them all. I don't know. It's just interesting. And then if it wasn't people lying about which number they started listening to, another episode 1, 4 episode 1s in a row. There's like 50 of them in here. You guys are fucking liars. If it's not that, it's when there was a broken closet and when there was a damn Star Wars poster and you had your nails painted. Important question here. Which side are you on? Sitters or standers? Sitters win by a country mile, 61.2%. Sorry, sitters. Remember that Civil War that you guys inexplicably started? I didn't start that. You guys threw it was thou who cast the first stone, standers, not us, sitters. How do you primarily listen to the show? YouTube. That's really surprised me. So it's not even close. Because the Spotify, well, I guess the math on it with the viewership on, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I don't know Apple's numbers at all. I don't know what the numbers on there at all. When do you primarily watch/listen to the Coping Hour? Leisurely takes the win here, followed up closely by at work, gaming, in the car. When I smoke was a way smaller sliver. It was, I don't know, like what would the math on that be? Probably like 5 people said that. Really? It's really interesting to me because that means that the demographic of the show has completely changed. And that's how I know that motherfuckers are capital L lying. Because it used to be, when the show first started, every single comment was like, I love smoking weed and I love listening to the show. And my absolute favorite thing to do is doing both of those at the same time. And I'm like, wow, that's very kind. That was all people wanted to talk about in the comments. And now people are like, actually, I have an education and a 401k, and I'm in a really serious and committed relationship. And also I'm a lawyer, and also my name is Tom. I'm in the bathroom constantly, and I'm hot. And you're like, wait, what happened? The show has only gotten dumber. So how does... So I don't know how that would make sense. And that's the craziest thing to me about like reading your majors and reading your jobs is I'm like, it's just bizarre that they're such normal or like serious jobs that when I think about people in those positions, like a teacher or a lawyer, I'm like, those are serious people. I'm like, they don't do dumb shit. And I'm like, but you listen to this show. And so I'm imagining if I had a teacher or a doctor or a lawyer who like I was relying on and they listened to some bullshit like this, that's what blows my mind. I've made this joke a bunch, but like if my lawyer was like, oh, what's up? I was just listening. They have a headphone in, you're on recess or something, and they're like doing some notes frantically with a fucking highlighter and a stack of folders. They have one AirPod in, and you walk over and you're like, hey man, like, are we going to be okay? Am I going to lose everything? Am I going to go to jail? And you're like, oh, sorry. You take out your AirPod. You're like, sorry, I was listening to the Coping Hour. You're going to jail. There's no fucking way. That guy's losing everything, and he's going to ADX Florence. Let's get back to the census. How often do you watch the show? 92.2% of you say you watch every episode. It's so interesting how that has, like, video podcasts have become, like, long-form conversation has become like television to people. That is a phenomena. So interesting. Have you ever emailed the show before? 51.6% say no. That's the winner. Have you gotten any of your emails read on the show? 59.3% of you say no. It's a lot of emails. It's hard to do. I wish that if I could get that number down to like 50, that doesn't seem that unreasonable. I would just have to focus on emails too much, and to be honest with you, not all of them are. Because sometimes it's like I get a good email, I just don't have anything on it. And the only thing would be like just, I'm like, oh, this is a good take. And like, I'm just not going to read a good take when I don't have anything to say about it. Or like you just catch me at the wrong time, right? Where I'm just like, my brain isn't fucking, I don't know. It happens all the time that I'm like, I'll get an email, I'll be like, this is a really good one. I want to read this. And then it just doesn't come up. For one reason, I talk myself into too many other points and tangents and shit like that, or yeah, whatever it is. And then it just gets buried, it gets buried, it gets buried, and then I just forget about it. And then I feel back. So I'm like, well, that was actually a really good email. Like the most recent one, a couple weeks ago, somebody emailed about Josh Giddey, and I thought it was a really good email. And it just kept getting put on the back burner, and I forgot about it, and now I can't find it. So keep shooting your shot, folks, if you want your email read on the show. Sports leagues that people follow, NBA is number 1, NFL number 2, baseball, college football, college basketball, college hockey, ice hockey. Soccer at 69 people. 69 people were like, what's up? Love soccer. Nice. A lot of MMA. Some wrestlers. Not that many F1 people. Which is weird because the amount of emails, I guess not everybody that would have listened to listens to the show would have filled this out. But I get a lot of F1 emails. Shout out to Lewis Hamilton. Looks amazing. That was F1, folks. There was your segment. Favorite NBA team? Yeah, it's the Pistons. Number 2 is the Celtics, actually, which I thought was interesting. Number 2 most liked team in the Copenhagen constituency in terms of people who answered this question. Celtics. Wow, that's interesting. Impressed. Favorite NFL team? Of course, it is the Lions. Followed by the... Is that don't have one? Sorry, this key. There's just so many colors. It's hard to follow. And then God damn, I can't figure this out at all. I can't read these colors. I'm going to show you this so you can see it on the screen just so you don't think I'm an idiot. There's just so many colors and it's hard to figure out which is which. All right. Favorite team in the NHL? It's got to be the Wings. That's what is that the Flames? What the fuck? This segment, it's going off the rails. There's too much data here. Drew, we compiled too much data. This is not as easy as I thought it was going. I should have looked at this before I did the segment. I just had the email queued, and Drew, I said at the beginning of this that we are going to etch your names in the walls of this show. And I think I am doing it a disservice. I think I'm not doing it sharply enough into the wall, into the stone. And so simple erosion, 2 rains go by and it's going to wash away. Your name is going to wash away because I'm butchering this. So I need to really lock in and I need to do this for you. Favorite team in the Premier League? Don't have one. Wins. Got some Arsenal in there. Some Villa in there. Whoa. And then it won't fucking go down. Drew, it just won't go down. We're having technical difficulties here. Liverpool. Liverpool is 3rd. There's a little sliver for City in there. A little Manchester City sliver. A little Manchester sliver. Like the fucking sliver of a chance that they have at even making the Champions League anymore. Erling Haaland dead for the next 5 to 7 weeks. Not playing. Dead. Not playing. Beat Leicester 2-0. What an asshole I am. I really thought. I was like, well, they don't have Haaland. I was like, they're going to be fine. I was like, imagine. Do not let Leicester City break their goalless streak against Ederson. Don't let this fucking happen. That did not. It didn't, though. It didn't. They didn't let it happen. They listened. They did not let that happen. Leicester, it's over. It's over. I thought that was going to be my chance to get to root for City, which I don't want to do. Of course, I do not want to do that. I'm just saying it was a chance to have done it. What's your favorite team of all time? Period. Favorite sports team of all time. 2021 Bucks, 2016 Cavs, 2019 Blazers, 14 Spurs, 15 Warriors, 11 Bulls, 21 Bengals, 04 Pistons, 2025 Pistons. What are you, fucking 8? This is if this 2025 Detroit Pistons team, with all due respect to them, they are world eaters, is your favorite sports team of all time. What a tortured life you have lived. That doesn't even get like a fist bump from me. It gets a shut up. Shut up. You don't mean that. Pick a better one. 2012 Tigers with a sad face. There we go. There's some fucking culture in the show. The 2012 Tigers with a sad face. 2023 Lions. 2025 Cavs. Is that reasonable? It's not reasonable to say it about the Pistons. Is it reasonable if the 2025 Cavs are your favorite team? I think that's a lot less crazy than it would be if it was the Pistons. Because if they're at this point, 70 wins is out the window, I think, right? They're still going to be... I know the Thunder just tied their franchise record for most wins. Where are the Cavs in terms of that? I think they've already passed it, haven't they? I don't think that's crazy. They had a couple All-Stars. It's a year one coach, for all intents and purposes. Probably going to moonwalk to the finals? Probably. They have, the best backcourt, best front court? Backcourt. Which one is the front? Around the rim. Backcourt. Front court. It's the front court. No, it's the backcourt. I fucking hate this so much because it's like It's like when you're playing a flying game and up is down and down is up. The controls are inverted. That's front court and back court, and I always get this fucked up. But Jared Allen and Evan Mobley together, I think is like, that's the best big man duo. I don't think it's that crazy if the 2025 Cavs are your favorite team. It may age poorly, but I don't think it's crazy. 2019 LSU, good pick. 14 Seahawks. Another 14 Seahawks. Nash and Stoudemire, Phoenix Suns. Love that guy. Would love to have a beer with that guy. The Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire, Phoenix Suns. Love that. Love that. Put some Sean Marion in there. Was Gortat? Was there a overlap with Gortat? There may have been. Was that when he had hair? No, I don't think he ever had hair. He used to follow me on Twitter. And then so did Kevin Seraphin, Wizards fans. You guys remember Kevin Seraphin? He followed me on Twitter, and he followed me on Vine. Kevin Seraphin, power forward for the Washington Wizards in the early 2010s, followed me on Twitter and followed me on Vine. I was like 14. I mean, I was a high-volume poster. I was probably, my roots are in digital spaces is very much in the shit posting realm. So I was probably getting these motherfucking posts off. And Kevin Seraphin was like, "This guy's a riot. I'm riding with this guy. This guy rocks." And then neither of us really achieved our dreams because he sucked in the NBA, and am I living my dream? Do I have 40 minutes to unpack that? Am I living my fucking dream right now? I don't know. In the grand scheme of things, I'm unhappy with some things in my life, but I have a family, and everybody's happy, and everybody's healthy, and I have a home and a car, like a new car and a new house and a new baby, and all things considered, yeah, guess I should be pretty grateful. 2017 Boston Celtics, that had to have been what? Is that the Isaiah Thomas, his sister passes away, and then he puts up 100 points, and then his hip doesn't work anymore, and then he gets traded after that? That was that Isaiah Thomas Celtics team? Probably that. 2011 Grizzlies, 2024 Lions, 2022 Man City, treble. Oh, that was when they won the... Okay, all right, soccer fans. Let me lock in. I know what a treble is. Just so you know, I'm down with the lingo. I know what shit is. I know what shit is in soccer. A treble is it clearing the English League shit? Is it Premier League, Carabao FA? Is it that? Or is it like, does it include the Champions League? Or is it just winning 3 of the English ones? Fuck. No, I know what it is. I'm going to, final answer, Champions League doesn't have anything to do with it. Final answer, Premier League title, Carabao, FA, that's a treble. Final answer. It's like, I hate treating you guys like a goddamn Google search because it takes me anywhere from 1 to 24 hours to get the answer that I'm looking for. And so I'm not going to know the answer. I'm going to say final answer, though. I didn't say what I wagered. The rest of this episode, but I won't know. So I would just have to keep going. And then this is paradoxical because it'll just never end, which means I'll never find out. But I'm just saying that to say, I don't think I need to finish this data. He put all of this together. I can't just stop reading it. I feel like I've spent 10 fucking minutes just reading teams and, favorite athlete? LeBron, Giannis, Dame, Giannis, Tatum, Cade, LeBron, Cade, Kyrie, Luka, Book, Ant, Messi, Calvin Johnson, hell yeah. Michael Phelps. What kind of a guy is that? I'm not saying this in I don't think I'm saying it in a derogatory way yet. I don't think so. But if Michael, you know what I mean? You get where I'm going with this? You ever met some swimmers before? Because if this guy is a swimmer and he's like 30, you ever met a swimmer in his 30s? I'm inventing way too specific of a guy. Just to nitpick a slightly unconventional pick as Michael Phelps is your favorite athlete of all time. It's not even that unconventional. He's the most successful Olympian fucking ever. I'm just going to move off of this because I don't really know. I can't make heads or tails of where I'm trying to go with this. DeRozan, Halliburton, Kobe, Brunson, Josh Allen. Asar Thompson. See what I mean? Like, we can't do this. You can't. Your favorite athlete of all time is Asar Thompson. Really? Okay. Andrew Luck. Jose Ramirez. I don't even think you can do that with Jose Ramirez. But he's, he gave the Tigers the business. He can do whatever he wants. Scotty Barnes. Tim Lincecum. Wow. In retrospect, wasn't his career like, didn't he really only have like 5 good years? Well, that's not, I say that like it's a bad thing. And I don't even know if it's true. So I don't want to disparage Tim Lincecum because I liked him. Everybody liked him. I think maybe what I'm thinking of is that he didn't have the hair for as long as in my head he did. I think didn't he spend more of his career without the hair? I think maybe that's what I'm trying to say. Jeremy Sohan, Manu Ginobili, Keegan Murray, James Harden, Darwin fucking Nunez. Hell yes, brother. Hell yes. I saw a rumor that Atletico is going to go after him. Atletico Madrid. I would prefer that he stays in England. Go to United, and then I'll get to see him play when they come to Chicago. How about that? That's my idea. That's my pitch. Brian Urlacher. Brian Urlacher is the reason I started playing football. He's the reason I started playing football, and I wore number 54 my first year as a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, Melo, Derrick Rose, Jalen Brunson. Ellie De La Cruz. I'll allow it. He's really fucking fast. I'm spoiled by Shohei's bat, though, that I just like. Ellie De La Cruz hits a home run, and I'm like, I don't know, Shohei hits him cooler. But Ellie De La Cruz steals bases and hits inside the park home runs cooler than Shohei does. So, and the stealing bases thing is nothing because he sold 50 of those motherfuckers a year ago. Shohei, Cade, Ant-Man. Okay, I'm going to move on to something else. How often do you watch the games of your favorite teams? You guys are watching once or twice a week, every game, once or twice a month. I didn't even say percents. I'm not doing this any justice. I'm going to speed through the rest of this. How much more is there? There's so much. There's so fucking much. I may have to break this up, Drew. I did not test run this at all. And we will be here for hours, if not days, if not weeks, if not years, if not millennia. If I don't stop right now. There's too much here. And to be honest with you, I just wasn't ready for it. So, folks, if you're listening, Drew, I'm so sorry. We will finish this at some point. But I can't keep reading it. I'm taking too long. I'm dragging. It's just not working. It's not going to work this time, Drew. We will try this again at some point. Maybe I'll even bump it and I will let people include more information the next time we revisit this, Drew. Brother, I'm sorry. Spotify listeners, I don't have anything. I just kind of want you guys to, I'll just send you on your way. I feel bad. I'm really nervous to look back at the last 15 minutes of this. And I'm just sitting here being like, I don't know. So the 2 episodes ago, I ended the show because the way that one of you phrased it, I thought was very funny. I ended it because First Take was on, and I wanted to see if Stephen A. was going to say if he was going to call LeBron a pedophile or something, if we were going to have a not like us moment on First Take. And I was like, oh, shit, I want to be watching that right now. And so I just ended the show. And one of you were like, it's very funny to end the show because you just wanted to watch TV, and that's it. And I was like, that's funny. And then the last episode we had to end early because I was going to poop in my pants. And then this one we're ending early because I just kind of stopped talking to him about anything. I just like corkscrewed myself into the ground, but like with words, it was weird. It was a weird moment to watch unfold on the Coping Hour. Apple Podcasts. What's up? What's up? If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, nice little comment for the algorithm. Make sure to keep primary control in check. And I will catch you guys in the next one.
Beautiful, beautiful. Primary control. Beautiful. Primary control. Beautiful. Primary control.